Howdy Shop Warrior. Today I'm going to tell you the difference between a drill and an impact driver. What's the difference? Why is one better than the other? Is one better than the other? Let's get into it. Alright, so let's talk about the difference in these two guys. So this is a drill and this is an impact driver. I just got this for Christmas. I'm very excited. I've been wanting one for a while. This guy I've had for quite a while. This is one of the first tools, power tools that I got a few years ago. So, what's the difference in these two? Well, a drill is better at drilling, and a driver is better at driving. So, screwing screws, loosening up a rusty bolt in your car, that's where an impact driver excels. Drilling into wood or drywall or steel or whatever, this is where a drill is better. But what's the difference? How do they work? So, one difference is how you control the speed. So a drill, you can control the speed and basically have an infinite number of speeds that you can set this thing at as you control the trigger and press the trigger down, right? You can go slow or fast, right? You have kind of your high and low speeds up here as well. So typically you want to drill in the high speed. So on this one it's marked as a 2. So that is great because you can ease into a piece of wood or ease into a piece of drywall. Or speed up as you need to, depending on the thickness of the material, density of the material. So it just gives you that ability to control it, which you need to do when you're drilling, but you don't necessarily need to do when you're driving. So that's one of the fundamental differences, is just how the speed is controlled. So on the impact driver, it's not so much an infinite number of speeds. It's more like, you can be at 10 miles an hour or 20 or 30 miles an hour. It's kind of a way to explain how it works, right? So it's not an infinite number of speeds. It's more like three or four speeds that it can be at. And then the other difference is how it delivers the power. So an impact driver can ratchet, which basically means that it does a burst of torque, and then another burst, and another burst, and then another burst. And it does that whenever it senses that it's having a hard time turning the head of this thing. It will start the ratcheting process. And so because the way it delivers the power, that makes it good for driving in screws, or again, a rusty bolt or something like that. It's good at breaking those loose. And the advantage of that is the way it delivers the power. And when it ratchets like that, is that it will turn the head of this without turning the back of it, which is held by you. So as this thing turns, even when it gets difficult and starts ratcheting, it doesn't torque or twist your wrist. So it makes it much easier to loosen up something or deal with something that's difficult to turn without turning your wrist. Whereas the drill becomes, the harder that you're drilling into something or screwing something in with this guy, the more it's going to twist your wrist and hurt. So you can handle doing things that are more difficult to turn with the impact driver without it hurting your wrist. So that's definitely a big advantage of this. But again, they're really built for two different things. Drill is built for drilling. This is built for turning screws or bolts. So now, that being said, I had a drill for several years, and this is the only tool I had. I used it for both. And certainly you can use this for both, and you can use this for both. Another difference, I should say, is that you connect these differently. So the impact driver uses these special hex head adapters for your Phillips head or for your drill bits. You have to get a special drill bit that has this in the end of it, right? Versus this drill bit, which is just a round piece of metal, right? So anything that goes in here obviously has to have this hex head, but the nice thing about that is that you can quickly change it out, whereas this takes a little bit more time to change out your bit. So that's another advantage of the impact driver, is how quickly you can change things. So that being said, if I had to pick one of these, or if I had to start with one, then I wanted to add the other one later, for example, I would start with the impact driver. I've been on a few construction sites, and what I've noticed is that all of the guys have impact drivers. They don't have drills. They'd rather deal with fewer tools, and it's just easier. It's more cumbersome, fewer trips back to the truck or back to their toolbox. So that's my observation, is that impact driver if you're going to go with one tool, would be the one to go with. And if I had to do it over again, I just got this for Christmas, and this I've had for several years, I probably would have done it in the reverse order. I would have gotten the impact driver first, and then I would have gotten the drill. So commonly when I'm working, this is what I'll do. I'll have it set up with this to drill pilot holes for my screws, and then I'll drive the screw in with the driver. So I use them together, which is really nice. I don't have to change the bits out of one, be constantly switching back and forth, which is great. So I'll usually bring both of them together, drill, screw, repeat. So, but if you only had one, it wouldn't be, that's another advantage of this, it'd be a lot faster to switch between the two if you needed to. So anyways, hope that was helpful to explain the difference and provide some clarity on the two. I know it wasn't obvious to me what the difference was, and certainly when you read the back of the box, it doesn't really tell you all of that. So I hope that was helpful in explaining the difference. All right, have a good one.